You're a caregiver, helping to manage the care of your aging loved one, and that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of work. What if you needed a break? What if you just needed to be able to step away for a couple of days and just regroup? What if maybe you had to go out of town for a wedding? What would you do? Who would help you? The other thing is, what if you just, God forbid, you needed that vacation, and so what what plans or what can be put into place to allow you to be able to leave and give up those responsibilities for caring for an aging loved one for a short period of time so that you can either get a break or you can get away. And that's what our topic is. Hi, my name is Pam Dunwald. I am one of your nurse advocates from Your Nurse Advocates Consulting. And our topic for Tuesday Tips tonight is, what is respite care, and how, is it affordable? How do you go about getting it? Who offers respite care? So that's the topic for our conversation tonight. So let's go ahead and let's dig in. So there are let's first define what respite is. So respite is a type of service where a caregiver, depending on the amount of care that you need, will assume the responsibility of caregiving for a loved one for a short period of time, a time for you to be able to have a break. So let's look at some different scenarios. So first thing you need to do when you're looking at possibly a respite solution for you is you need to determine, what are the needs? Do you already have caregivers coming in? But if you're not there, can those caregivers keep coming in? Are you going to need more help? What is the situation? How much work? How much caregiving? I mean, if you're a main caregiver doing a lot of the work, that's a whole different story because you're it. So first thing you need to determine is A, how long you're going to be gone. B, what exactly the cares are. Can your aging loved one be left at home at all? Or do you need, round the clock? Do they need to go somewhere? Or do you have a care team in place of friends, family, neighbors? We've been talking about that the last month about building that care team of volunteers. Do you have anyone that could come and stay at the house? A lot of things to consider. So we want you to start with obviously all the low cost or no cost options. If you already have caregivers in place, is there anything extra that you need to add to that in order for you to be able to get away? Is there who's going to be in charge? If there's any problems or that, who can help? That's really one of the reasons. I mean, you could certainly use someone like us, like a patient advocate, to help manage their care while you're gone, or a nurse advocate can also help you put this plan in place to, for a respite stay, help you identify your resources. So these are lots of ways that we can help you. But for those that want to do it on your own, that's okay too. And I just want to be able to give you that information and some choices that you have. So let's start with the least expensive options for respite and work our way up to the most expensive. So obviously the least expensive form of temporary care for an aging loved one would be a team of volunteers, family members. Maybe your sister that lives out of town could come in and stay with mom or dad or both for a week while you're gone. I mean, those are obviously the easiest. If you have a family that is able to do that, that would be obviously the most cost effective. That would probably be a good choice for your aging mom or dad or both, because they get to see another one of their children. So that might be an ideal situation for some. For some, that's not an option. Maybe you have a family member that lives on one of the coasts or lives several hours away, and because of their work or that they just can't get away. So next would be, your care team, your connections, your local church family, neighbors, friends, good friends, other people, in the area that maybe have helped out before in the past, that maybe would be willing to step up and maybe help a little bit more for, say, a week that you're gone. So that would be your next level. We're still on the free, or you might do a gift card, maybe, depending on how well you know these people. They may be someone that you'd give them a nice gift card to someplace, once they've helped you out, as showing your signs of gratitude. The next one would be, again, depending on, so say you have people that work, but maybe they could spend overnights there, and that they can be there, during the night hours. They work during the day, they can't take time off. Well, then we could look to see if maybe you had an adult daycare in your area. Now, the adult daycare is it used to be covered by Medicare. It's no longer covered by Medicare. It is private pay, but is going to be your lowest cost option. It is going to be less expensive than having private caregivers come into your home. So adult daycare, which would be, they would have to be, taken to daycare. They take care of them during the day. They, some of them will give a meal. Some they have to bring us like a sack lunch. They have to have breakfast before they go. They have a sack lunch, there, and then they're home for the dinner hour. So that would be the first level of paid care that you would look at would be adult daycare. Some areas, depending on where you live, they don't have adult daycares. Some in more urban areas, they do. So that again would be something. And thanks for the thumbs up there. But that would be your first choice, and that's something too that we could also assist with you as you determine if what those services you have in your area. All right, moving on to the next level of respite care. Next level of respite care would be private caregivers, caregivers that could come into the home, whether it's an agency or whether it is private caregivers. The one caveat of that is, again, an agency is not going to be able to provide care to someone that can't stay alone. There has to be an available and willing caregiver that's in the home. They can't take care of someone that is not, has the mental capacity to make their own decisions and care for themselves, to be left alone in the home. So that would be a barrier. Private caregivers, that depends on how well you know them and how well that they would want to take on the responsibility. But that's going to be anywhere from $20 to $40 an hour, for someone to come into the home. Again, whether it's temporary or that, or if you already have an agency in there, you might have to extend services. But again, if you still might have to have someone stay at the home if they're not able to make their own decisions. The next level would be a nursing home. Now, in nursing homes, they do respite. So if your loved one maybe has a higher level of care, they need, had more needs to be met. Maybe they have some mobility issues. They can't really stay home alone. They have quite a bit more cares. Then you can do a temporary stay in a nursing home, and they would have, a respite rate for you, depending on where you live. Average nursing home stay can, cost, $7,000 to $15,000 a month, depending on where you live. So obviously that would be broken down. If you're looking at a week, we would, again, depending on where you live, we'd have to look at those finances. But nursing homes do offer respite. So sometimes that's a great place. If your loved one has a lot of needs, if they go into nursing home for a week, they know that they have 24/7, eyes on them and access to care. And then you wouldn't have to worry about them being at home. The next level of care that offers respite, that would be the most expensive one, is if you were have to do a respite stay in a hospital. A lot of hospitals, especially the smaller hospitals, will have a respite program. There's some nuances that come along with going to a hospital, depending on what, they have to have orders. Maybe the hospitalist or the hospital physician won't follow them. You may have to have your primary doctor follow. That gets a little bit messy, and that's another thing that we can do to help, put that plan together as a nurse advocate, is to determine what level of respite care would be most appropriate, and then once that's chosen, help you select the respite choice. But again, those of you that want to do this on your own, that's okay too. So the hospital would be that most expensive form of respite. Now, I want to just take a couple minutes to talk about one other level of respite care. Now, for those loved ones of you that might be on hospice, respite care is a part of the hospice benefit. So you do have respite time that you can take. The only caveat, again, with the hospice respite is if the person is not able to stay alone at their home, they would not be able to provide the care in the home. Some hospice companies have a hospice house. They have like a residential facility where they could your loved one could go there and stay for a week or up to 2 weeks, for a respite stay. With hospice, everything is paid for except room and board. So if you have a hospice, if your hospice agency has a hospice house, so to speak, they would still have to determine what the room and board would cost on a daily basis while they're staying there. So everything else would still be covered under hospice. The nurse visits, the medications, all of that stuff is still covered, but the room and board would be extra. Now, for some hospice agencies that don't have a hospice house, so to speak, sometimes they contract with other hospice houses, or sometimes they contract with nursing homes or hospitals to be able to provide the respite stay. So again, hospice would be the room and board part of it would not be covered. So that would be, depending on how the hospice agency covers that, that would be something that you would need to figure out is, who do I pay for that room and board? And do I pay hospice? Do I pay the hospital? What are all the hoops that we have to jump through if the respite is going to be performed in a hospital setting? So those are basically the different types of respite and the different levels of care and expense that it could cost you. But the most important thing is I don't ever want anyone to feel that they are alone on this caregiving journey. There are resources, and oftentimes you don't know what you don't know until you get into a crisis situation. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have the faintest idea what to do, and I need an answer yesterday. So that's, a really great, reason to have someone like us. If it's not us, another advocate maybe that can be available to help you, educate you on what your decisions are and how to make them, being informed and making sure that you have all the facts and all the information that you need to be able to make, a decision. And so these are prime situations for us to be able to come in and assist. No cases, no clients are the same. We have a new client. She's a retired nurse. She's very well educated as far as illnesses and just, from being a nurse so many years, but she's struggling. They're getting up in age, and she's not sure whether to bring her husband home or whether they go somewhere together as a couple. So she wants us to be able to be involved and help her, give the information so that she can make the right decision for her and her husband. So lots of different reasons. The most important thing is that ask questions, get your questions answered, whether it's from us or the social worker at the clinic or the hospital. Find someone that you trust that can give you the information that you need and answer the questions that you have. So that's going to be it for today's Tuesday Tips on Respite. We will be glad to have you back here next Tuesday for another Tuesday Tips. Until then, we'll see you in the Facebook group or in our private Facebook community, speaking out on the care of your aging parents. So we'll see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.